local, now. This is The News at 11.
And good evening, everyone. Thanks for watching The News at 11. I'm David Clue.
And I'm Dawn Baker. Election results have been coming into the WTOC 24-hour newsroom all night long. We're going to get straight to those results. But first, we have some breaking news to tell you about right now. A manhunt is over. A prison escapee accused in killing a local sheriff in that sheriff's death has been captured now. James Lowry captured in the Lawrence County after getting away from police today. You might remember that man. He was spotted shortly after 10 o'clock tonight by a helicopter in the search area near the Lawrence County Jail. Lowry is accused in the death of Montgomery County Sheriff Ladson O'Connor back in June. More than 100 officers took part in that search.
Now let's begin our election coverage this evening with the City of Savannah mayor, and that has been a very close race from the start between incumbent Edna Jackson and former Chatham County Commissioner Eddie DeLoach. Take a look at the numbers right now. DeLoach and Jackson less than 2 percentage points apart. Murray Silver with just 12% of the vote by the end of the evening. So it is going to be Jackson and DeLoach heading for a runoff, that runoff taking place on December 1st. Our Tim Guidera is live tonight at Mayor Edna Jackson's headquarters on Duren.
Well, David, it was a little subdued here during the night, even tense until the final numbers were announced. The mayor and her supporters likely expecting a runoff, but certainly wanting to have the majority of tonight's vote, not only as a statement of confidence to the city, but also moving forward into that runoff. And that wasn't official until rather late in the evening. The mayor, of course, won the 2011 election in a runoff, and now she is back in one with Eddie DeLoach in just about a month. She said tonight's is a demonstration of the city's confidence in her, and she expects that to continue next month. And when the numbers were finally in, there was finally a reason to celebrate here. Mayor Jackson said she was counting tonight as a victory, one that was very important to have.
Well, it's very important because it lets me know that we have been moving in the right direction. And I will not tell you that there have not been errors made, because all human beings are make errors. But I'm proud of the fact of where we have moved our city for the last 4 years. When you look at the statistics, the amount of infrastructure that we've been able to take care of, the development that has happened in this community. You're talking about millions of dollars.
Well, the mayor said she's going to get right to work in the morning on working on that runoff. She actually had a trip planned out of town, but she's going to cancel that so she can continue to campaign. She also hopes to get a larger turnout for the runoff coming up in December. One other thing that will be important is that 12% of the vote that Murray Silver got, that could determine which way the mayoral vote goes. And, David, it's so important that by 9:30 tonight, one of the mayor's supporters was walking through the crowd asking if anybody had Murray Silver's phone number.
Tim, thank you.
Well, once again, just a few hundred votes separated the two top vote getters in the race for Savannah mayor. Eddie DeLoach is still in the race and headed to a runoff with Mayor Jackson. Ben Williamson joins us now live from DeLoach's headquarters on Eisenhower Drive.
Yeah, guys, good evening. Empty here now, but there was a party earlier. They are very enthusiastic and excited about this. They expected the runoff. They were hoping that it would go to a runoff. You know, at the start of this campaign, many people thought, oh, Eddie would give it a good shot, but Mayor Edna Jackson will get reelected. But they are very, very happy with things turned out. He was leading at a point, but like you guys said, now all that separates them is less than 500 votes. And Tim was just talking about it. Both Silver and Wilson, Eddie DeLoach expects both of them to endorse himself, so he will get those votes, hopefully, and he's looking forward to their endorsements. December 1st, so they got about a couple more weeks to campaign. He says it really will keep the same message going, which has been, for him, crime, which a lot of this campaign, for all of the challengers, has been. There has to be some change. He will continue to push that the crime is just too high, and there has to be a different vision. I caught up with him, very, very grateful for a change.
All of a sudden you realize these folks really want me to get this done. And it's just a great feeling to get the opportunity to possibly do that. So we're going to be running the next 4 weeks. We're going to make it happen. And when it's all said and done, hopefully, not hopefully, there's going to be a new mayor in the city of Savannah. We're going to have a new vision for...
And you had heard it there, and believe Murray Silver has already touched base with Eddie DeLoach. So that'll be interesting moving forward. Obviously, DeLoach, a businessman, going to bring that business approach. But it should be a business as usual as they campaign over the next 4 weeks. In Savannah, Ben Williamson, WTOC News.
Author and businessman Murray Silver has never run for office before, but was compelled to enter this race and give it all he had for the hometown that he loves so much. Here's what he had to say after tonight's defeat.
It is no secret. I have said that Eddie DeLoach was called into this race to make sure that I didn't win it, and that he was working in concert with the people who backed the mayor. And before I endorse anybody, I want to sit down with both of them, and I want some answers, and I want some explanations, and I want them to tell me how much of my platform they will preserve. If they want my support, and if they want me to turn around to the few people who voted for me, and to tell them that you should support one of these people, then I want to know how much of what I've been talking about they're going to address and preserve and fix. And it begins and ends with public safety as far as I'm concerned.
Three-term incumbent Van Johnson was hoping to hold on to his District 1 seat for another four-year term, and he was challenged by longshoreman and Savannah native Bernetta Lanier. And taking a look at those results, he certainly did. He easily won this race, 66% of the vote going to Van Johnson tonight.
Well, I've tried to be authentic. I've tried to be transparent and really working and connecting with people. I've been sent to a seat. I didn't send myself. So it's my goal to be able to continue to work with neighborhoods, continue to work with businesses, and again, to continue to work with young people to be able to address the pressing issues our community faces.
Let's move on to District 2 incumbent Mary Osborne, who's had plenty of challengers in her first 3 terms on council, and this election no exception. Osborne faced 3 challengers this time around. Let's take a look at those results now. As you can see, she and Bill Durrance look like they're headed for a runoff. Durrance with a great showing against the incumbent, but certainly not enough to take this election. It will now be those two who will be facing that December 1st runoff election. Elizabeth Rollins live tonight at City Hall with reaction from both candidates who will appear in that runoff.
Yeah, David, this was a pretty contentious race, as we all know. And now there's 4 more weeks of this now between Mary and Bill Durrance, both of whom hope that it's not going to be as dirty as it's been leading up to this point. And I spoke to both of them tonight, who say they weren't really that surprised that this led to a runoff.
It would have been nice to be done this evening, but I'm happy to be in the runoff. We'll have to spend the next 4 weeks, and I think what it means probably more than anything else is more canvassing, knocking on doors, talking to people. We'll probably get a couple more mailers out, but we're having our team meeting on Friday morning to plot where we go from here.
I expected a runoff with 4 people in the race. It's called for, though in my first election there were 4 people in the race, and I won without a runoff. Times have changed. District has changed tremendously in terms of size and composition. So I expected a runoff.
Now, the biggest concern right now is getting folks to return to the polls for that runoff election, because we all know that getting folks to come out for a runoff election is much harder than the general election. So they're going to be working very hard the next 4 weeks. And again, that runoff election will be December 1st. For now, we're live from City Hall. Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.
3rd District Alderman John Hall faced strong opposition this time from political newcomer, advocacy consultant for the elderly and disabled Kim Dulick. But tough competition is nothing new for Hall, though. 4 years ago, he was first elected by only 18 votes. Tonight was Hall's night again, winning the race by 54%. Alderman Hall says he's ready to work for a better 3rd District and City of Savannah.
Well, it's a great victory, and I thank the people of this district for having confidence in me to send me back to City Hall for 4 more years. It's the greatest endorsement that anyone can get, is the citizens having that kind of confidence in you to send you back.
Moving on to the District 4 race now, 2-term incumbent Mary Ellen Sprague, knowing full well that former Metro Police PIO Julian Miller would give her a run for her money. That's exactly what he did tonight. Let's take a look at the results now. By the end of the night, you can see clearly this was a runaway for Julian Miller.
They wanted safety. They wanted a government that was responsive to them. They wanted a plan.
to make this community better. Savannah is in a perfect place to have a wonderful city. We're not there yet, but we're closer than any other city I know, and it's up to us to get it there.
Well, we sure have many more results from throughout the coastal empire and low country, so please stay with us. We are not finished yet. We're going to take a quick look at the weather. We're going to bring in our first alert meteorologist, John Weatherby. It's certainly been an active day out there, John.
Active day with locally heavy rainfall creating some flooding situations. Where's the rain right now? Continuing to push off to the northeast. Cluster just to the west of Savannah is a little stronger. Another stronger cell was near Brunswick. That's now ending. We saw the flooding reports earlier. Abercorn, 37th Street. Now we've got cloudy skies, 71 degrees, 82/100ths of an inch of precipitation. We'll show you the first alert forecast. Dawn and Dave, that's straight ahead.
John, thank you. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the rest of those City of Savannah districts. Stay right there.
Perhaps the most controversial of all the municipal races, Savannah's District 5, marred by fiery debates and accusations of intimidation. The race, incumbent Estella Shabazz squared off against a political newcomer who works as a consultant for nonprofits, Chandra McKeithen. This has been an extremely tight race all night, back and forth, back and forth. Let's take a look at the numbers. But right now, we see the incumbent, Estella Shabazz, won that race with 52% of the vote. WTOC's Mike Sela has been following this hotly contested race and joins us now live from 1308 West on Montgomery Street with the candidate, Chandra McKeithen.
Yeah, this race was neck and neck throughout the night, just watching those results coming in, seeing precinct after precinct, and seeing the lead go up and down between challenger and incumbent. And a large crowd had gathered here earlier at 1308 West Montgomery, and we were waiting for those results to come in. And joining us now, person here, we have Chandra McKeithen, the challenger in this race, and coming up a little bit short in the end, and this was your first time running. What did you learn from this race, and what are you seeing out of the results?
Mike, I'm so excited. I'm excited because I was new into this political arena, and the voters really warmed up to me. At least almost 49% of the 5th District really believe in the change that I was putting forth. So I'm really excited about that.
And we are looking for the future. Is this the last we've heard of you?
Oh, no. I've been behind the scenes in being a public servant for a long time, and I'm going to push forward. We have a county commission seat that will be coming available in 2016. So, you may hear from me right in that race, too, So it's not the last that you'll see from me.
All right. Chandra McKeithen, thank you so much. Coming up a little bit short in her race against the incumbent, Estella Shabazz, who is going to be getting a second term on Savannah City Council. Back to you.
Perhaps one of the more popular aldermen and one who was first elected to council back in 1999 is Tony Thomas, but District 6, like so many others, plagued by a growing crime problem, and that brought out 3 strong challengers this year. Taking a look at those numbers, though, you can see, as expected, Tony Thomas will spend the next 4 years in that District 6 seat, winning with 59% of the vote.
I appreciate the confidence that the voters placed in me out here. I'm going to continue working for the district. This is an honor for me. It's a calling. And I feel truly blessed with the folks that have stepped forward and helped with this campaign. I had 3 opponents that ran their races and all, but in the end, the folks had confidence in our message and what we're doing for the district, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well, Carol Bell is the first-term alderman for the alderman at large post. Tonight, she defeated Savannah mother Linda Wilder Bryan, who was inspired to run after her son was killed on the streets of Savannah. Now, Bell got 59% of the vote. Tonight, she's thanking all of those voters who have shown support for her throughout the election.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to the voters. I'm happy and thrilled that they had the confidence to re-elect me as alderman at large. I'm ready to step in and work on the goals that we've set forth: crime reduction, job creation, and economic development, because those are the keys that's going to move this great city forward. And I'm looking forward to working with all of the citizens of this great city.
You know, it didn't take long to load the field with candidates just as soon as at-large Post 2 Alderman Tom Bordeaux announced he was not going to run again. A total of 6 candidates battled it out for that seat, and here are the numbers you can see on your screen. Brian Foster, Alicia Blakely look like they will be the ones in the December 1st runoff. Our Stephen Gallo is live with the Foster campaign on East Liberty Street this evening.
Yeah, David and Dawn, both of these candidates, Foster and Blakely, they're both heading into the runoff, as you mentioned, and they both feel confident that they will win out in December. Now, remember, this was a crowded field, as you mentioned, with the largest and most diverse group of candidates of all the races. It was also the only city council seat that guaranteed that fresh face, since the incumbent Tom Bordeaux did not seek re-election. Now, Brian Foster was endorsed by the outgoing Bordeaux. Some of his supporters gathered here off Liberty Street and watched as the votes came in tonight. Foster, as you may remember, a retired bank president who worked in the financial industry for 45 years. He said he's pleased with tonight's result and is now looking ahead to the runoff.
And we're excited where we came in this, and we think we'll have a good, strong runoff. We put the issues out there and talked about the facts and gave ways and ideas to resolve the issues, and I think that made the big difference.
Well, meanwhile, the second highest vote getter, Alicia Blakely, gathered with her supporters at the Flawless Hair Studio and Salon in Savannah. Blakely is a self-proclaimed community activist and human rights advocate. She says she is not a career politician, and she cares for the entire city as a whole, not just one segment of it.
I know I'm going to win because I'm for the people. I'm an advocate for the people. Savannah is a city that is not young people friendly. Certain areas get certain things, and I feel that I will be the voice for the voiceless. I am the voice for the voiceless.
Well, Foster garnered about 7,500 votes. Blakely garnered 5,400 votes, so a closer race here. And as we mentioned before, this will ultimately go to a runoff. And as we have also said, sometimes tough to get turnout in a runoff election. Both candidates, though, plan to work hard to make sure they can get people to turn out, especially since that's coming right off of that Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Live from downtown Savannah, Stephen Gallo, WTOC News.
Stephen, thank you for that. Continuing our election coverage right after the break, Dow Kennedy joins us live now, well, in a moment, with the results from the Hinesville mayoral race.
And Tracy Washington brings us the results from Bluffton. Stick around.
The Hinesville mayor's race is going to a runoff as well. Former Mayor Alan Brown got 40% of the vote, while Hinesville City Councilman Charles Frazier brought in 35%.
Well, our Dow Kennedy is joining us live now with more on the race. Dow, certainly some familiar names in that race that we will all meet again.
Long-term council member and Mayor Pro Tem Charles Frazier will meet former two-term Mayor Alan Brown, who served 16 years ago. If we can take a look at some video from earlier, Alan Brown said he expected to finish as the top vote getter, and Charles Frazier finishing second behind him in this 5-person race. But the two most experienced candidates will square off in the runoff, and both men said they won't change their campaign in any way, just the level at which they're campaigning.
What we've been doing, we're just going to take it to a higher level. We're going to work even harder. I think people thought that we were really working before, but we're going to take it to another level.
Definitely intensify. We did a lot of good things. I think we didn't do some things as good as we should have, and I think we can improve on that in the next 30 days and maybe improve our status.
And those who will meet in a runoff next month. Live in Hinesville, Dow Kennedy, WTOC News.
Dow, thank you for that. Voters on Tybee Island deciding who will sit on their city council as well. 2 incumbents will be back on council. Barry Brown, who got 723 votes, and Wanda Doyle getting 647 votes. Incumbent Paul Wolf was beat out by Julie Livingston by just 9 votes.
Voters in Tybee also ask to decide if they want to spend $750,000 to build a saltwater pool on the island. They have overwhelmingly voted against that pool. Here's a look at those numbers. 61% of the residents said no.
They've got the ocean. They don't need the pool, I guess. In the Low Country, Bluffton Mayor Lisa Solka holding on to her position by getting 78% of the vote, beating out Cynthia Bench. Now, Low Country reporter Tracy Washington at Mayor Solka's campaign and is joining us now live. Tracy, 78%, that's a huge number.
Mike David, Don David, it certainly is. I was there when Solka got the big news, and she was so excited to find out she's going to be Bluffton's mayor for the next 4 years. Right now, she and her closest friends and her supporters are over my shoulder. They're celebrating her huge win. Now, Solka says Bluffton has accomplished so much since she became mayor back in 2007. For the term, she plans to focus on creating affordable housing in Bluffton, parking in Old Town, preserving the May River, and increasing tourism. Solka has served as the town's mayor for 7 years, and she says receiving 78% of the votes shows the voters believe Bluffton is moving in the right direction.
It's just humbling, and I'm so appreciative of people that know we're on the right track, you know, and we have hurdles that we have to cross, and we do things that maybe aren't what some want, but overall we're on the right track.
Solka says since she's been mayor, 663 businesses have opened in Bluffton. She's hoping throughout her next term she can bring more businesses and more jobs into the town. Reporting from Bluffton, Tracy Washington, WTOC News.
All right, Dan Wood, Ted Huffman, and Harry Lutz are heading to a runoff in the Bluffton Town Council race. The top two vote getters in that runoff will take to the two open council seats. That runoff November 17th in this case. Let's take a live look right now at the WTOC.com where you can check out all the election results. We have a complete list and we'll continue to update those as needed throughout the night and into tomorrow if necessary. You click on the red banner, get right to those results.
And we'll be back in just a moment.